Hi, I'm Nick Gomersall and welcome to Sales and Marketing News. And today we're going to take a look at pipeline and how some companies look to have 3 times cover. I will be interviewing myself, discussing how this can be a bad thing and leads to a high cost of sales, fictitious pipeline, and defocuses great salespeople and turns them into cold calling. And by the way, before we go over to the interview, I just want to plug vizads.com, which is my video company that specialises in corporate pitches, like the ones we have been playing in the background. They can play on your website, sent out in an email, or mailed in the post as a video card, which we call Viz cards. You can find out more about all of these on my website, vizads.com. Plus, please do read my book, Ace the Sale, which covers off this topic plus many more controversial issues in a sales cycle. Right, over to you, Nick. Well, thank you, Nick. And I'm Nick Gomersall. I'm also the editor of Talk to Executives, where I interview some senior people, CEOs, to get their view. And today I'm going to be interviewing myself, who is the CEO of Vizads. So welcome, Nick. Well, thank you. First question I want to ask you is, why is 3 times cover bad? That seems good to me. Well, it depends on what type of business that you're in. If you're selling major capital goods, services, software, very expensive, maybe SaaS solutions, then 3 times cover is an awful lot of deals to run with. Let's take an example of, say you've got a target of 3 million and the average deal size is, say, 1 million. Then that's 9 deals that you're having to run with. And in my opinion, no salesman can run on 9 deals and do a really good job. I've always had the philosophy that qualify really hard, make sure there's a compelling event, there's a budget, you've got coaches everywhere, and you start whittling down those 9 opportunities down to really possibly only 3 and maybe 4 that you've really got a good crack at. An awful lot of sales cycles are sort of early days. There really isn't a driving force to actually close that business. So you need to put them on back burner. So if you're really doing a good job and say the average sales cycle is like 9 months, you should be spending at least a day a week in that account. And obviously a lot more when you start going through doing all the demonstrations and finding out what their requirements are and building bonds. So what you're saying is a company should question their hit rate. So a 1 in 3 close rate isn't really very good. But 3 times cover is way too high. And you end up, pressurizing salespeople to have 3 times cover. And so they start making up deals which really can never close. And it always amazes me that you always get to the quarter end and all panic gets lets loose because deals are slipping, they're not really being they're not converting. And that's purely because the salesman has really had to pump up his pipeline and pretend that there's more deals than there are. So I would say that 2 times cover is really where you should be looking and reduce the number of deals. So that's my feeling. Now, I know you were the sales and marketing director at JD Edwards. What was your hit rate there? Yes, when I was at JD Edwards, we managed to have a hit rate of over 85%. So in fact, in that situation, we most of my salesmen had 1.5 times cover. And the reason for that was, as I was very fortunate to have an incredibly good bunch of salespeople, and I also had the autonomy to be able to do what I wanted to do. I was also running marketing as well as sales. And my philosophy is that every single deal has got somebody's name on it before it even goes out the door. And when we were at JD Edwards, if we got an RFP from Arthur Andersen or Andersen Consulting at the time, we would just throw that in the bin because Andersen Consulting had a whole army of SAP consultants. SAP were just coming into the market with their R3 product, and really, it was just a complete waste of time. We bid one, got nowhere, and that was it. But then we had great relationships with Ernst & Young and KPMG, and I always, remember getting a phone call from a partner from Ernst & Young saying, here's an RFP coming, it's a penalty kick, don't screw it up, Nick. So, I feel that every single deal has got some sort of agenda in mind already. And my sales guys at JD Edwards were very good at spotting that. And also when we went through the sales cycle, we weren't frightened to run away and qualify. And in fact, we did a lot of no bid, which actually flushed out the prospect quite a lot. And he ended up having quite a lot of big meetings when they were pleading with us to stay in, which obviously then played all the cards, and we were able to find out quite a lot of stuff there. So another interesting thing is public sector, where a lot of people say you can't sell to the public sector, but what happens there is that before a bid goes out, you find that there's quite a lot of software demos and evaluations going on. And the reason for that is they're making up their minds who they really want. And lo and behold, when the RFP comes out, the whole RFP has been written for the vendor they have in mind. So again, watch that. As soon as you get an RFP that comes out and it looks like, oh my goodness, this isn't written for me, then no bid it. But if you've got 3 times cover and the salesmen are under pressure, they're put it in the pipeline. And the thing about bidding on too many deals is that you need so many more people. If you've got 9 deals and you're going to lose, 2/3 of them, well, first of all, I think that's unbelievable to lose that amount. You're going to have so many more pre-sales, so many more facilities, so many more salespeople, and it's just really, really expensive to bid those deals. And in fact, I used to always have a joke with my sales guys that I'd rather you be on the golf course than coming in bidding bad deals, because bidding bad deals means that the guys that have got good deals are struggling to get pre-sales. Well, thank you, Nick. That's been very informative. I think a little bit controversial as well. I'm sure that will get a few people talking, whether they agree with you or not. So I'm going to hand back to Nick at the studio. Thanks for watching. So thank you to myself for this very informative and I'm sure controversial interview. If you would like to comment on this, then I have started a discussion on sales and marketing executives on LinkedIn. So email me at nick@vizads for this link.